Hello friends, welcome to the Sekhar Academy. This is module 4:14 about AZ-900 Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, real exam questions and concepts. So in these questions I will be providing the remaining part of questions and the concepts, right? So this is the last module which we uh, discussed about these AZ-900 exam questions and concepts. So let's begin the module 14. AZ-900 exam question number 241. This question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct, right? So you can create an Azure support request from support.microsoft.com, right? So the options we have: no changes needed, Azure portal, the knowledge center, and the security and compliance admin center. So the right answer is here, the Azure portal, right? So you can create an Azure support request from the help and support blade, which is available in the Azure portal, right? So or in the context menu of the an Azure resource, so where you can see support plus troubleshooting section. So when you navigate to the Azure resource, any of the Azure resource. Question number 242. You have an Azure environment that contains 10 web apps. To which URL should you connect to manage all the Azure resources, right? The URL you see, right? So the options we have the two ways where you need to build the URL which we can use to connect to Azure and the manage all the Azure resources. Right answer is here. The first option portal, and the second one is Azure dot. See, Azure portal is a web-based management interface where you can view and manage all your Azure resources in one unified hub. So where you can, including the web apps, databases, virtual machines, virtual networks, so all the resources basically in the Azure, whatever the Microsoft is providing. So all the resources you can get to Azure portal. So the URL should be http://portal.azure.com. So when you log into with your Microsoft account, so where you can like an Azure account, right? So where you can see all these, you can view and you can also manage all the Azure resources. Question number 243. You have an Azure web app and you need to manage the settings on the web app from an iPhone, right? So what are two Azure management tools that you can use to manage these settings? The options we have: A, Azure CLI, B, the Azure portal, C, Azure Cloud Shell, D, Windows PowerShell, and E, Azure Storage Explorer. The right answer is here, B, Azure portal and the Azure Cloud Shell, right? So Azure portal is a web-based portal, right? So where you can manage and view all the Azure resources, right? So and also you can utilize the Azure Cloud Shell. It's a web-based portal, a command line, to manage any Azure resources. You can access this Cloud Shell in the Azure portal, right? So where you can also use the Azure Cloud Shell in on your iPhone as well, right? So the right answer is B and C. Question number 244. You have an Azure environment. You need to create a new Azure virtual machine from a tablet that runs the Android operating system. So what are three possible solutions, right? So the options we have: A, use Bash in Azure Cloud Shell, B, use PowerShell in Azure Cloud Shell, C, use the Power Apps portal, D, use the security and compliance admin center, and E, use the Azure portal, right? The right answer is here A, B, and E. See, the Android tablet device will have a web browser, so that's enough to connect the Azure portal. So the Azure portal offers three ways to create a virtual machine here, right? So using the graphical portal, right? Using the graphical mode where you see in the Azure portal, and using the Azure Cloud Shell using the Bash, and using the Azure Cloud Shell using PowerShell. So these are the three ways where you can create the virtual machine, the Azure portal. Question number 245. Several support engineers plan to manage Azure by using the computer shown in the following table. So you see that the computers, three computers we have. Each one, this computer one is which is running on Windows 10, computer 2 is running on Ubuntu, and computer 3 is running on Mac OS Azure. So you need to identify which Azure management tools can be used from each computer. So what should you identify for each computer, right? So you need to select the right option in the answer area. So the computer one, the options we have, right? So the four options we have for each computer. So you need to choose for each computer which one will be right one to manage the tools from each computer. So the options we have the Azure CLI and the Azure portal, the Azure portal and Azure PowerShell, the Azure CLI and the Azure PowerShell, the Azure CLI, the Azure portal and the Azure PowerShell. Right? So for each of them, you need to choose for computer one which option it will suit for the manage to manage the tools, right? So the right answers here the Azure CLI, Azure portal and Azure PowerShell. So through all three these options we can manage the tools, right? So previously the Azure CLI was the only option right for managing the Azure subscriptions and the resources from the command line on Linux or Mac OS or Windows. Now with the open source and cross-platform release of PowerShell, so you will be able to do that to manage all the resources from Windows or Linux and Mac OS using your tool of choice, either CLI or PowerShell commandlets, right? So you can, and the portal runs in a browser, so it can be used in in either operating system also, right? So the question number 246, you can access compliance manager from the right. So where you can manage, you can access the compliance manager. So the compliance manager, right, is where you can access out of these options. So the options we have Azure Active Directory Admin Center, Azure Portal, Microsoft 365 Admin Center, Microsoft Service Trust Portal. The right option is here Azure Portal. So the Microsoft Compliance Manager is a pre-workflow based risk assessment tool that lets you track, assign and verify regulatory compliance activities related to Microsoft Cloud Services. The Azure Cloud Shell, on the other hand, is an interactive and authenticated web browser, like a browser accessible shell for managing Azure resources, right? So you can access the compliance manager, so that you can access through Azure portals. So that is you just have to track any assign or any regulatory compliance activities if you want to track, right? So for the Azure Microsoft Cloud Services related, so you can access through compliance manager in Azure portal. Question number 247. We have three statements, right? So let's go to the statement one. All Azure service in private preview must be accessed by using a separate Azure portal, right? Here the right answer is no. Services in private preview can be viewed in the regular Azure portal. However, you need to be signed up for the feature in private preview before you can view it. Access to private preview features is usually by invitation only, right? So that's why the right answer is here no. The next question, Azure services in public preview can be used in production environments, right? So you can use services in the public preview in production environments. However, you should be aware that the services may have fault is not subject to an SLA and may be withdrawn without notice, right? So the right answer is here yes. Third statement, Azure services in public preview are subject to service level agreement, right? SLA, right? The right answer is no. Public previews are excluded from SLAs, and in some cases, no support is offered for the public preview features, right? The right answer is here no. Question number 248. Your company has 10 offices. You plan to generate several billing reports from the Azure portal. Each report will contain the Azure resource utilization of each office. So which Azure Resource Manager feature should you use before you generate the reports? The options we have: A. Tags, B. Templates, C. Logs, and D. Policies. The right answer is here tags, right? So when you understand the Azure pricing and support, right, so you can use the resource tags to label, right, Azure resources. Tags are metadata elements attached to each resources. Tags consist of pairs of key and value strings, right? So here we would tag each resource with a tag to identify each office. So for example, so the location which you are choosing for the resource is office 1. When all the Azure resources are tagged, you can generate reports to all list of resources based on the value of the tag. For example, all resources used by office 1. Question number 249. Right, so here we have the three statements where you need to select the right answer for each of them. Right, so the options we have yes or no. So we need to choose the, if it is the statement is true, then we should select the yes, otherwise no. Let's go to the statement 1. Most Azure services are introduced in private preview before being introduced in public preview and then in general availability. Right, so the right answer is here yes. Most services to go to private preview right before they go to private preview, then public preview before being released to general availability. The private preview is only available to certain Azure customers for evaluation purpose, not for the all the customers, right? So then the public preview is available to all Azure customers. So that's where the public preview will be available for all Azure customers. Right answer is here yes. Next statement, Azure services in public preview can be managed only by using Azure CLI. The right answer is here no. See, Azure services in public preview can be managed using the regular management tools like Azure Portal, Azure CLI, and Azure PowerShell, right? So, so there is no such restrictions, right, to manage the features or the services in the public preview to using only CLI, right? So you can use the you can manage, right, or use the Azure services in public preview by using the portal or the PowerShell as well, right? The right answer is here no. Let's go to the next statement. The cost of an Azure service in public preview decreases when the service becomes generally available, right? The right answer is here no. Services in private or public preview are usually offered at reduced cost. However, the cost increase or not decrease, right, when the services are released to general availability, right? So there is no fixed uh, cost element here. So when it is available, it is released to general available, so the cost may increase or decrease either in the private or public preview features, right? So here the right answer is no. Question number 250. Let's go the question here, right, in the answer area. Your Azure trial account expired last week and you are now unable to, right, so the which one, you have to choose the right option here. You are now unable to create additional Azure Active Directory user accounts, start an existing Azure virtual machine, access your data stored in Azure, access the Azure portal. The right answer is here, start an existing Azure portal, right? So when it is your trial account is expired, you are now unable to start an existing virtual machine. A stopped or delocated virtual machine is offline, not mounted on an Azure host server. Starting a virtual machine mounts the virtual machine on a host server before the virtual machine starts. As soon as the virtual machine is mounted, it becomes chargeable. For this reason, you are unable to start a virtual machine after your Azure trial account got expired, right? Question number 251, right? The statement is here. If an Azure virtual machine has a status of stopped or delocated, you will continue to pay for, right, compute capacity or IO operations or networking or storage, right? So you will continue to pay, right? The right answer is storage, right? Still you need to pay for the storage. Even if your virtual machine is stopped, you still have to pay for the storage. So while the virtual machine is shut down or stopped, there is still a storage cost for the disk that is holding the virtual hard disk file, as well as any other data storage disk you may have created, as you are still consuming file storage, right? That's why you will have to pay storage cost here. Question number 251. You plan to create an Azure virtual machine. You need to identify which Azure storage service must be used to store the unmanaged data disk of the virtual machine. What should you identify? Here the options we have: containers, file shares, tables and queues. The right answer is here, containers. Azure containers are the backbone of the virtual disk platform for Azure ES service. Both Azure OS and data disks are implemented as virtual disks where data is durably persisted in the Azure storage platform and then delivered to the virtual machines for maximum performance. Azure disks are persisted in Hyper-V VHD format and stored as a page blob in Azure storage as well. That's why the right answer is here, containers. Question number 253. A team of developers at your company plans to deploy and then remove 50 customized virtual machines each week. 30 of the virtual machines run Windows Server 2016 and 20 of the virtual machines run on Ubuntu Linux. You need to recommend which Azure service will minimize all the administrative costs required to deploy and remove the virtual machines. What should you recommend? Right? So the options we have: Azure reserved virtual machines instances, Azure virtual machine scale sets, Azure Dev Test Labs, and Microsoft Managed Desktops. The right answer is here, C, Azure Dev Test Labs. See, this is under the concepts of Dev Test Labs. So by using this, you can create labs consisting of pre-configured bases or Azure resource management templates also. So by using the Azure Dev Test Labs, you can test the latest version of your applications by doing the different tasks. Quickly provision Windows and Linux environments by using reusable templates and artifacts, and easily integrate your deployment pipeline with the Dev Test Labs to provision on-demand environments. Scale up your load testing by using provisioning multiple test agents and create pre-provisioned environments for training and demos as well. So that's why you can use the Azure Dev Test Lab. Question number 254. Match the Azure services to each correct description. So the services we have: Azure Functions, Azure App Service, Azure Virtual Machines, Azure Container Instances. The statements we have: provide operating system virtualization, provide portable environment for virtualized applications, use to build, deploy and scale web apps, and provide a platform for serverless code, right? Here the right options in the answer area for each statement is here. For the first one, Azure virtual machines, right? So the provide the operating system virtualization. The Azure virtual machine is one of the several types of on-demand scalable computing resources that Azure offers. Typically, you can choose a virtual machines when you need more control over the computing environment than the other choices offers in Azure, right? The next one is Azure Container Instances, right? So this will provide a portable environments for virtualized applications. Containers are becoming the preferred way to package, deploy, and manage cloud applications, and also offers the fastest and simplest way to run a container in Azure without having to manage any virtual machines and without having to adapt a higher level service. So containers offer significant startup benefits over virtual machines, and also can start containers in Azure in seconds without the need to provision the and managed virtual machines. Then the next one is Azure App Service. Azure App Service is used to build, deploy and scale web apps, and also is a platform as a service offering that lets you create web and mobile app for any platform or device and connect to data anywhere in the cloud or on premises as well. The Azure App Service includes the web and mobile app capabilities that were previously delivered separately as Azure websites or and Azure mobile services. The last one is Azure Functions. Azure Functions provide a platform for serverless code and is a serverless compute service that lets you create an event triggered code without having to explicitly provision or manage infrastructure, right? So the next question, number 255: which service provides serverless computing in the Azure? So the options we have here, right? So here the right answer is here Azure Functions. So the under the Azure core Azure services, the Azure Functions, the where the great feature we have in Azure to provide a platform for serverless code, and also it will lets you run event triggered code without having to explicitly provision or manage infrastructure. So that's where you can utilize the Azure Functions for the serverless computing in Azure. Question number 256: your company has several business units. Each business unit requires 20 different Azure resources for daily operation. All the business units require the same type of Azure virtual machines, and also you need to recommend a solution to automate the creation of Azure resources. What should you include in the recommendations? The options we have: ARM templates, right? Azure Resource Manager templates, virtual machine scale sets, Azure API management service, and management groups. The right answer is here Azure Resource Manager templates. Right, so under the core Azure services, you can use the ARM templates to automate the creation of Azure resources, and you can also deploy through templates is known as infrastructure as a code. And also to implement any infrastructure as a code for your Azure solutions, use ARM templates. And this template is a JavaScript object notation. It's a JSON file that defines the infrastructure and the configuration for your project. And templates uses declarative syntax, which lets you state what you intend to deploy without having to write a sequence of programming commands to create it. In this ARM templates, you specify the resources to deploy and properties for those resources, right? So the right answer is here A. Azure Resource Manager templates. Question number 257. So match the right Azure service in the answer area. Services are Azure Spare, IoT Central, and IoT Hub. The statements we have: a managed service that provides bi-directional communication between IoT devices and Azure, a fully managed software as a service solution to connect, monitor, and manage IoT devices at scale, a services and software and hardware solution that provides communication and the security features for IoT devices. The right options for each statement in the answer area here: IoT Hub, IoT Central, and Azure Spare. So Azure IoT Hub provides the data from millions of sensors, and also it's a managed service hosted in the cloud that acts as a central message hub for bi-directional communication between your IoT application and these devices it manages. You can use Azure IoT Hub to build IoT solutions that reliable and secure communications between millions of IoT devices and a cloud-hosted solution backend. You can connect virtually any device to IoT Hub also. Next one is IoT Central, right? So the SaaS offering to connect, manage, and monitor devices at scale, and where you can define and manage device message templates centrally based on device types. So it is a built-in device provisioning service, right? The last one is Azure Spare. It's a secured and high-level application platform with built-in communication security features for internet connected devices, right? Question number 258. We have three statements. Let's go to the statement 1. A Windows virtual desktop session host can run Windows 10 only. The right answer is here no. Supported OS are Windows 10 Enterprise Multi-Session or Windows 10 Enterprise, Windows 7 Enterprise, Windows Server 2012 R2 or 2016 or 2019 also, right? So it is not the Windows 10 only. So the right answer is no. Statement Next statement: a Windows virtual desktop host pool that includes 20 session hosts supports a maximum of 20 simultaneous user connections. The right answer is no. So there is no restrictions. Indeed, you can control how many users each session host can support through load balancing, and also you can have more than 20 simultaneous users within the 20 host sessions, right? So the right answer is here no. Next statement: Windows Virtual Desktop supports desktop and app virtualization. Right answer is yes. So this is a desktop and app virtualization that runs in the cloud. It creates a full desktop virtualization environment without having to run in additional gateway servers, and also publish unlimited host pools to accommodate diverse workloads, reduce costs with pooled and multi-session resources also. Right? The right answer is yes. Question number 259. Right, so you need to choose the right option, which will no, choose for this complete this sentence. Can calculate cost savings due to reduced electricity consumption as a result of migrating on-premises Microsoft SQL servers to Azure. The right answer is here Azure total cost of ownership calculator. That's a TCO. So the TCO is a calculator is used to estimate the cost savings you can achieve by migrating our application workloads to Microsoft. Question number 260. You need to match the right Azure service to the correct description. The services we have: Azure Cosmos DB, Azure HD Heights, Insights, Azure Synapse Analytics. The statements we have: a managed service that provides a bidirectional communication between IoT devices and Azure, a fully managed software service solutions to connect, monitor, manage IoT devices scale, a software and hardware solution that provides a communication and security features for IoT devices, right? The right options we have Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Cosmos DB, and Azure HD Insights. Question number 261. A support engineer plans to perform several Azure management tasks by using the Azure CLI. You install the CLI on your computer and you need to tell the support engineer which tools to use to run the CLI. So which two tools should you instruct the support engineer to use? Options we have command prompt, Azure Resource Explorer, Windows PowerShell, Windows Defender Firewall, Network and Sharing Center. The right options we have command prompt and Windows PowerShell. So for Windows, the Azure CLI is installed via the MSI, which gives you to access to the CLI through the Windows command prompt or PowerShell. Right? So the right options we have A and C. Question number 262. Which Azure service provides a set of version control tools to manage code? The options we have Azure Repos, Azure DevTest Labs, Azure Storage, Azure Cosmos DB. The right options we have Azure Repos. Azure Repos is a great feature where it is used to set up version control tools that you can use to manage your code. Question number 263. You plan to deploy a website to Azure. The website will be accessed by users worldwide and also will host large video files as well. You need to recommend which Azure feature must be used to provide the best video playback experience. What should you recommend? The options we have an application gateway, an Azure Express Route circuit, a content delivery network, an Azure Topic Manager profile. The options we have, right option is here, a content delivery network, right? The question states that users are located worldwide and will be downloading large video files. The video playback experience would be improved if they can download the video from the servers in the same region as the users. We can achieve this by using the content delivery networks. The content delivery network service, it is a distributed network servers that can effectively deliver web content to users. The content delivery network stores cached content on edge servers in point of presence locations that are close to end users to minimize latency. For example, route optimization to bypass border gateway protocol, right? So the benefits of using the CDN to deliver website assets include better performance and improved user experience for end users, especially when using applications and multiple round trips are required to load content. Large scaling to better handle instantaneous high loads, such as the start of the product launch event and distribution of user requests and serving of content directly from edge servers so that less traffic is sent to the origin server, right? The right option is here, C, a content delivery network. Question number 264. We need to choose the right option here to complete the sentence, right? A common platform for deploying objects to cloud infrastructure and for implementing consistent across the Azure environment. The right answer is here, Azure Resource Manager templates provide. So these ARM templates provides a common platform for deploying objects to cloud infrastructure and for implementing consistency across the Azure environment. So Azure policies are used to define rules for which we can be deployed and also how it should be deployed. So this can help in ensuring consistency, and Azure policies do not provide the common platform for deploying objects to the cloud infrastructure. Right? The right option is here, Azure Resource Manager templates provide. Next question number 265. An Azure administrator plans to run a PowerShell script that creates Azure resources. You need to recommend which computer configuration to use to run the script. Which three computers can run the script? Options we have a computer that runs macOS and has PowerShell Core 6.0 installed, a computer that runs Windows 10 and has the Azure PowerShell module installed, a computer that runs Linux and has the Azure PowerShell module installed, a computer that runs Linux and has the Azure CLI tools installed, a computer that runs Chrome OS and uses the Azure Cloud Shell. The right options we have A, B and C. The PowerShell script is a file that contains a PowerShell commandlets and code. It needs to run a PowerShell, and in this question writes the commands computers has a PowerShell core 6.0 installed. Therefore, this solution does meet the code. To create Azure resources using PowerShell, right? So you need to import the Azure PowerShell module, which includes the PowerShell commandlets required to create the Azure resources. Option B, right? So the PowerShell script is a file that contains the commandlets and code, right? So that needs to create and run PowerShell, right? So in this question, what it has, the computer has about Azure PowerShell module installed, right? So that's why option B is also right answer here. And the C, right? So that is also right. So you need to needs to run the PowerShell, right? So PowerShell can now be installed on Linux also. The right C also the right answer here. Question number 266. So we have three statements. Let's go to this statement 1. You can use Azure Cost Management to view cost associated to management groups. Right answer is yes. You can view the cost under the management groups. Next statement is you can use the Azure cost management to view cost associated to resource group. Right option is yes. In the Azure cost management, that is a service in Azure where you can also view the cost associated to resource group, associated to the management group. So you can choose. That is a great feature in Azure cost management. You can view the cost for the associated to the Azure resource groups. And next statement, you can use Azure cost management to view the usage of virtual machines during the last 3 months. The right option is yes. Yes, you can monitor and you can view the usage of virtual machines for the last 3 months. That's where you can have the Azure cost management service in Azure. Question number 267. You have an application that is comprised of an Azure web app that has a service level agreement of 99.95% and an Azure SQL database that has an SLA of 99.99%. The composite SLA for the application is the option right. You need to complete the sentence with the right, choosing the right option here. The product of both SLAs, which equals 99.94%. The lowest SLA associated to the application, which is 99.95%. The highest SLA associated to the application, which is 99.99%. The difference between the two SLAs, which is 0.05%. The right answer is here. The product of both SLAs, which equals of 99.94%, right? So that way you can achieve the goal here. Question number 268. You need to complete this defense in depth strategy used in a data center. What should you do? You need to drag the right layer in the answer area, right? So you have the options in the answer area, right? So wherever you see the layers, you need to drag the right option, right layer here, right? So parameter, application, physical security. So you need to build the right strategy to implement any data center here. First one is a physical layer security, and the next identify and access, and the next perimeter, and the next network, computer, and the next application, and the last one will be the data. That's where the strategy you have to implement when you need to deploy in a data center in the cloud. Question number 269. So right in the statement answer area we have the statement like Azure Sentinel uses the playbooks to use which one here. The options we have automatically respond to threats, collect data from Azure services, specify how long data is retained, stored passwords and certificates. The right option is here automatically respond to threats. So the Sentinel, the service which we have in Azure, so where we can respond threats, and you can raise the instance where you can see, right, so where the threats were impacted. So, and you need to have the feature to respond the threats automatically when we have any threats affected to the services. Right answer is automatically respond to threats. Question number 270. You have an Azure virtual network named VNet1 in Azure resource group named RG1. You assign the Azure policy definition of not allowed resource type and specify that virtual networks are not an allowed resource type in RG1. So VNet1, you need to fill the complete sentence here. The options we have is deleted automatically, is moved automatically to another resource group, continues to function normally, and is now read-only object. Right option is here, continues, VNet1 continues to function normally, right? So it will not affect the virtual networks, right? It will continues to function normally. Question number 271, right? From Azure Cloud Shell, you can track your company's regulatory standards and regulations such as ISO 270001, right? The options we have: no changes needed, the Microsoft Cloud Portal, Compliance Manager, and the Trust Center. The right option is here, Compliance Manager. The Microsoft Compliance Manager, it's a feature where you can free workflow based risk assessment tool that lets you track or assign or verify regulatory compliance activities related to Microsoft Cloud services. Azure Cloud Shell, on the other hand, is an interactive authenticated browser accessible shell for managing the Azure resources, right? So the right option is here, Compliance Manager. Question number 272. We have three statements. Let's go to the statement 1. Azure China is operated by Microsoft. Right option is here, no. So Azure China is managed and operated by the third party. So in the particular reason, right? So it is not operated by Microsoft. The right option is here, no. Next statement, Azure government is managed by Microsoft. So the right option is here, yes. Azure government is operating and managed by Microsoft. Currently, Azure management is available in the specific locations or the regions, which is the US, right? So the right option is here, yes. Next statement, Azure government is available only to US government agencies and their partners. The right option is yes, right? So currently the Azure government of the is available only for the US government agencies and their partners, the contractors, right? So it is only available to US region. Option is yes. Question number 273. Your company plans to migrate all on-premises data to Azure, and you need to identify whether Azure complies with the compliance regional requirements. What should you use? Options we have: the Azure, the Knowledge Center, Azure Marketplace, the My Apps portal, and the Trust Center. Right option is the Trust Center. Azure has more than 90 compliance certifications, including over 50 specific global regions and countries, such as the US, the European Union, Germany, Japan, and the United Kingdom, India, and China. You can view a list of compliance certifications in the Trust Center to determine whether the Azure meets your regional requirements. Right? So the right option is D, the Trust Center. Question number 274. Right? So yeah, this question is, Azure Germany can be used by legal residents or residents of Germany only. Options we have: no changes needed, only enterprises that are registered in Germany, only enterprises that purchase their Azure licenses from the partner based in Germany, any user or enterprise that requires its data to reside in Germany. The right answer is here, any user or enterprise that requires its data to reside in Germany, right? Azure Germany is available eligible customers and partners globally who intended to do business in the EU or EFTA, including the United Kingdom, right? So Germany, Azure Germany offers a separate instance of Microsoft Azure services from within German data centers. The data center are two locations, Frankfurt, Main and Marburg. This placement ensures that customers' data remains in Germany and that data centers connect to each other through a private network. All customer data is exclusively stored in those data centers and is designed to German company, the German data trustee, that controls access to customers' data and the systems and infrastructure that holds customer data. Right? The right answer is here D. Question number 275. Which two types of customers are eligible to use Azure government to develop a cloud solution? Right? The options by a Canadian government contractor, a European government contractor, a United States government contractor, and a United States government contractor, and E, a European government entity. The right options we have a United States government entity and a United States government contractor. See, Azure government is a cloud environment specifically built to meet compliance and security requirements for only US government. This mission critical cloud delivers breakthrough innovation to US government customers and their region partners. Azure government applies to government at any level of from US any state or local governments to federal agencies, including Department of Defense agencies as well. The key difference between Microsoft Azure and Microsoft Azure government is that Azure government is a sovereign cloud. It's physically separated instance of Azure and dedicated to US government workloads only. It's built exclusively for government agencies and their solution provides. Right, the right options we have C and D. Question number 276. You deploy an Azure resource. The Azure becomes unavailable for an extended period due to a service outage. So Microsoft will, you need to complete this sentence choosing the right option here. Options we have refund your bank account, migrate the resource to another subscription, credit your Azure account, send you a coupon that you can redeem for Azure credits. The right option is here. Microsoft will credit your Azure account. If the SLA for an Azure service is not met, you receive credits for that service and that service only. The credits are deducted from your monthly bill for that service. So if you stop using the service where the SLA was not met, your account would remain in credit for that service. The credits would not be applied for any other services that you may be using, right? Service credits apply only to fees paid for the particular service or the service resource or the service type for which a service level has not been met. In case where service levels applies to individual service resources or to separate service tiers, service credits apply only to fees paid for the affected service resource or service tier as applicable. The service credits awarded in any billing month for a particular service or service resource will not, under any circumstance, right, exceed your monthly service fees for that service or service resource as applicable in the billing month. So that's where Microsoft will credit your account if that is service SLA is not met. Question number 277. If a Microsoft plans to end support for an Azure service that does not have any successor service, Microsoft will provide a notification at least 12 months before. The options we have: no changes needed, 6 months, 90 days and 30 days. The right option is here Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft will provide a notification at least 12 months before. There is no change needed in this statement, right? So the modern lifecycle policy covers products and services that are serviced and supported continuously For products governed by the modern lifecycle policy, Microsoft will provide a minimum of 12 months notification prior to ending support if no successor product or service is offered, excluding free services or preview features. The right option is A, no change is needed. Question number 278. Which statement accurately describes the modern lifecycle policy for Azure services? Options we have: Microsoft provides mainstream support for a service for 5 years. Microsoft provides a minimum of 12 months notice before ending support for service. After a service is made generally available, Microsoft provides support for the service for a minimum of 4 years. When service is retired, you can purchase extended support for the service for up to 5 years. The right option is here. Microsoft provides a minimum of 12 months notice before ending support of a service, right? Question number 279, right? So which Azure portal icon should you select? So you can see the image, right? So where you have the option icons, right? So you can see the green highlighted one, right? So where you can access Azure Cloud Shell in the Azure portal by clicking that icon. So the Cloud Shell is an interactive, authenticated web browser accessible shell for managing Azure resources. It provides the flexibility of choosing the shell experience that best suits the way you work, either Bash or PowerShell. Cloud Shell enables access to a browser-based command line experience built in with Azure management task in mind, right? So question number 280. Your company is planning to deployment using Azure database for PostgreSQL, and the deployment should meet the following requirements. The requirements are up to 10 GB storage, Azure premium storage, point-in-time restores for up to 35 days. You need to select the appropriate deployment and pricing tier to meet these requirements and minimize cost. What should you select? Options we have: Azure database for PostgreSQL single server basic tier, Azure database for PostgreSQL single server memory optimized tier, Azure databases for PostgreSQL hyperscale, and Azure database for PostgreSQL single server general purpose tier. The right option is here, Azure database for PostgreSQL single server general purpose tier. So that's where you can deploy your services. So with this, we completed the AZ-900 Microsoft Azure, right? Azure fundamental real exam questions and concepts. So we completed all the series. So hopefully you got all the questions where you have the idea about all the concepts and the right. So with the Azure cloud services, whatever we have. So thanks for watching this series. If you are new to my channel, please like, share, subscribe, and provide your valuable comments. Keep watching, and for more videos, please subscribe my channel, and don't forget to click bell icon for receiving any updates or any future videos for my future videos in the Secure Academy. Thanks for watching.